Hello and welcome to another episode of Film Seizure. I am Geoff Arbuckle.
I am Jason Oliver.
And we watched Drive, which is the better Baby Driver.
We could talk about that. I agree.
Yeah,
I agree that is the case, but I don't think they're really the same movie.
What?
Oh.
Yeah, they are, basically.
Nah.
Yeah. Hot takes.
Hot takes.
We got hot takes.
There's a different type of musicality, I think, in Baby Driver that this movie doesn't try to be.
Oh, we'll get to my similarities here in a little bit.
Sure.
And how this movie trumps it in every detail.
Yes, it does. It's a better movie, absolutely. No question. And yes, this is also a movie I feel like it tries to answer one very important age-old question. Is Ryan Gosling a real human being? or a real hero?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think I don't think he is a human, or he got short stacked on the emotions element.
He's a little he gives stoic.
Yeah, he's not wooden.
Its name.
Yeah, like he is. Yeah, you look up stoic in the dictionary. It's a picture of Ryan Gosling.
Oh yes.
Yeah, like he is not wooden.
No,
he is.
He was not stiff. It's a really good performance,
and it is just like with Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah,
about a month ago or so. It's unnerving when he stares. It makes you ask a lot of questions of yourself, of your future. Is this guy going to stomp my head in an elevator?
Do things stir within you?
A little bit.
Yeah.
It's unnerving. It's an unpleasant experience.
I wouldn't think that Carrie Mulligan thinks it's all that unpleasant.
No, she had different things stirring.
She gives a similar performance in this, where she doesn't have a lot to say, but she conveys a lot with her face, her kindness.
Yes.
She has a very kind face.
She has a very kind face.
Her smile, her
smile could light up a room.
She's the type of person I think you would want to be your next door neighbor in a dingy LA apartment complex. Like,
yeah, especially if you think you could like take her for a drive and like hang out with her and her kid. She seems very pleasant.
She's very pleasant. Very sweet lady. Yes. She works at Denny's. I'd like to sit in a booth and get coffee. And have coffee.
Yeah.
And have her maybe sit down and give me a piece
take
of
a
pie.
break. Yeah.
Take a break.
Take a break with me and have some pumpkin pie.
Yeah.
That sounds pleasant.
Yes.
It sounds very pleasant.
She's very good in this. Very, very cute. Very she just does a lot with her face.
Yes.
Much like he does. There's just the facial acting in this movie is quite good.
They both, one could argue, have faces that are too small.
Okay.
Or they have very small, or their faces are a little bit bigger, and it just covers more of their head. You know what I mean?
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like there's like every millimeter of real estate on their face is there for a reason.
Oh, okay, sure, yeah.
That's how they can face act.
They put it all to use.
Yeah. But I mean, I still think that. I've seen a lot of like moon faces people, moon face people. They are not one of those types of people.
They convey a shit ton of chemistry.
Oh yeah,
in this movie
without saying a goddamn word.
Right.
And at times it seems uncomfortable, but it's also very sweet.
Yes. Yes. So yeah, Drive. I mean, plot wise, it's a pretty simple.
Pretty straightforward cut drive.
I mean, much different than the very intricate cop drama, if you will, of To Live and Die in LA. That is very, very like packed with plot.
But this is a very dirty movie.
Yes.
Even though this has a sheen to it.
Sure.
That To Live and Die in LA didn't bother with, which is fine.
It's the sheen that I feel like is is what I was trying to kind of get at with the sort of retro new wave, neon noir kind of thing, right? Like you see a lot in movies now where it is sort of, there is almost this fetishism of the 80s and the 90s that they put on top of contemporary movies to give them an aesthetic feel that this could be taking place really in almost like a timeless era.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, like it's really kind of unimportant that this is a contemporary movie.
Right.
They don't focus heavily on the here and now. It's everybody that has a part in this, or every car that's driven is relative, like you said, timeless. It's like inevitably you meet that person who's just a waitress, or somebody who's down on his luck, or the old guy who you're pretty sure is in the mob,
right?
Who runs a pizza parlor. We probably ate from that guy tonight. You know, and there are people who like Ryan Gosling's character who kind of don't really fit in, you know, but they're good at like one thing.
Yeah.
But they don't connect well with people.
And yet it also in some ways plays against the trope or convention. Like, you know, it was fun kind of watching this with you, and it's been a while since I've seen it, but you know, you were pretty much everything that you expected to happen in To Live and Die in LA happened, right? But
except for William Peterson
getting shot in the face, right? Yeah, which is definitely
with 15 minutes to go,
right?
Yeah. I mean, if that happened in the very last moment, okay,
yeah.
But
in this one, you know, you have a lot of those tropes, but at the same time, it's a little different. You have kind of the mob stealing from the mob. You have people. You have people who are really just unlucky and paying the consequences of that. You have Carey Mulligan's husband, who you expect to be in a confrontation with Ryan Gosling,
but turns out to be kind of an okay guy.
Yeah,
sort of, even though he's a bad guy.
I mean, he's definitely on the defensive because I mean, Ryan Gosling's a really good guy. He's been living next door to his wife for a while, and he's been helping out.
Let's put it this way: if my wife and child lived next door to Ryan Gosling, and I went to prison, and I came home and found out that Ryan Gosling's my neighbor, I'd be like, fuck, I just lost my wife.
Right.
You know? I mean,
you expect a confrontation there, right? But instead what you have is Ryan Gosling you know, doing what he feels is the right thing to protect Carey Mulligan and her son.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
which means putting himself in danger. And it all goes horribly wrong. Spoiler alert. But at the same time, you know, you get the sense that he's willing to walk away. But before he does that, he wants to help.
Right. It's if nothing else, he's helping because he's doing something for them because he honestly cares for her and the little boy. Right. You know, I mean, Oscar Isaac is whatever. You know, it's like he's a little bit of a wall.
And I think it's easier.
But he's okay if she's happy or whatever.
And I think it's easier for him to do that as well, rather than just maybe run off with them and leave Oscar Isaac behind. I think it's easier for him to do that because I think he sees in Oscar Isaac someone who's trying to also be a better person and do the right thing. Yeah. Because he doesn't want to do this job. He's willing to get his shit kicked out of him because he doesn't want to do this job. He's trying to basically be a better person and start a new life.
Well, he even says
on the right path.
Right. It's like the only reason why he can't do it on the right path is because nobody's got the $20,000 or whatever to pay off.
He's got to pay this debt off. Exactly.
Yeah. Right. Now, what's funny is I told you as I was watching it that I didn't get an 80s aesthetic so much. I got a 90s feel from it. I think the reason why I feel that is because I feel like as much as Ryan Gosling is the lead character, I think the central figure of this movie is Carey Mulligan.
Sure.
And she's bringing a lot of 90s. The way she looks, the way she dresses, the way
the pixie haircut,
the long skirts,
yeah.
There's the sweetness of her feels more like the earthy 90s girl, not the love interest of the 80s, and she's not the quote unquote strong, like, oh, the bad guys come, I punch them,
right,
that we might see these days. And I probably said that in a really condescending way, but but you know what I'm getting at there, I think.
Yeah,
she fits a 90s aesthetic, and because of her central nature, like the her character being kind of the reason why things are happening, and certain decisions are made, I kind of picked up the 90s from it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, sure. I see that.
And I think also maybe some of the soundtrack kind of felt 90s, even though it is very synthy.
So yeah, the soundtrack. The soundtrack is kind of in two parts. You have the score and you have the soundtrack, right? The songs from the soundtrack. And the songs from the soundtrack are all from artists who would be considered in that retro new wave sort of scene, right? College is the band that does the Real Hero song. Very much synth wave type music.
I still kind of picked up from like the female vocals though it felt 90s to me. It just felt like you know what it felt like, Mazzy Star.
I think what it is that these are bands that aren't necessarily totally 80s or totally 90s, but they use a lot of the 80s aesthetic in their album art, in their videos. They kind of bathe themselves in the synth of the 80s. And I mean, if you looked at their album covers, it's like, it's ridiculous. It's so hyper color 80s Trapper Keeper kind of shit, right? And then, so I think that lends to it. It's sort of a collective aesthetic. It's not necessarily the movie on its own.
Yeah. I think that there's also, it's sometimes hard to think of LA without thinking of it from a past perspective.
Sure.
Because LA, to me is okay. So this is gonna stick with me here for a second.
One second. Let me just close the loop on the music a little bit. The second part is the score, and the score is Cliff Martinez. Cliff Martinez is incredibly well renowned at this point for his score work. My personal favorite of his is he did Steven Soderbergh's remake of Solaris.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
he did the score from that, and usually he brings a lot of sort of ambient electronic to his scores. Just really, he took a lot of inspiration from sort of the 80s techno, 80s synth aesthetic as well. And I think that he probably wouldn't say that he looked directly at something like a Wang Chung To Live and Die in LA score, but that's definitely where what he was drawing from was that type of music. So again, it's really the music, I think, that grounds this for me anyway, in that that
I mean, I don't disagree that it certainly has a retro feel. What I think you and I were picking up on slightly different decades was, I think, just the nuances of it. I would say collectively this is a retro feel, but I think the nuances is what separates us from one decade to the next.
Yeah, and I think I mean, at the end of the day, it's its own thing, right?
Right.
I mean, it's not any one decade, any one inspiration. I think to pigeonhole it like that would be insulting anyway.
Yeah, I mean, because it's still a very contemporary movie,
right?
Like I said, I mean, but the contemporariness of it is not terribly important.
Right. It's a lot of Refn. I feel like recently more so than in the past has sort of gone to that style over substance, I guess, to some degree. I don't want to say that because I think this movie is very well balanced in both aspects, but his follow-ups to this have definitely been more in the vein of style over substance. I think he's getting some stylistic inclinations out of his system, perhaps. I don't know what it is, but I don't know where I'm going with this point, but he reminds me a little bit of Panos Cosmatos, right? Especially in his last two movies. God, what are they? Only God Forgives, which also starred Ryan Gosling, and then Neon Demon was the last one. Yeah. Very, very heavy on just this very kind of hyper real reality. Very, very slick camera work, cinematography, and again that Cliff Martinez like electro pulsing score.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't think that there if it's done without being what's the word I'm looking for? Pretentious?
Yeah, well that's the problem.
I mean,
the Only God Forgives is overwrought. It is like he took everything that made Drive what it is, the balance of it, and then just took it in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And yeah, Only God Forgives just feels pretentious to me. It doesn't feel like there is any substance to it. It's all style.
Yeah.
Whereas he really, I think, struck it perfect with Drive, where he found this balance between the two and was able to really convey what he wanted to aesthetically with a really good story and an amazing cast and performances.
Yeah. So what I was going to say about like LA being kind of a character in this as well. And this is I'm going to kind of take a little bit of a winding path here to get to what it won't be long, but it's kind of a winding path. So if you watch a movie from the late 60s into the 70s, up until about mid 80s or so, and it took place in New York. New York is very grungy, dingy. It looks like it's a tough place to be. It's not for the weak. And you have groups of people who are just kind of surviving, but they don't mix too well and they don't stay separate too well, I kind of feel like, and part of this is because I've been to LA. We both have been to LA. We know what kind of city it is,
sure.
and how kind of not a very good city, really.
I never felt comfortable there.
Well, here's my thing: is I felt like LA was boring. The places you wanted to be was Hollywood, or
but even Hollywood.
Hollywood
is just filthy.
Well, it is, but that's where everything is to go see. You don't go to LA to look at the Walk of Fame. You go to Hollywood.
Sure, yeah.
It's a whole different city. But anyway, I kind of get the same feeling from LA. So when I see LA as being a primary setting in a movie, even if it's contemporary, I get flashes of these things from the past. Like you see a shot of the skyline of LA, and if it's hazy, the first thing I think of is 80s.
Yeah.
If it's nighttime and it's all the city lights, I think of the 90s. It's just it connects me to a time in the past. Whereas if you see a movie that takes place in New York now, you don't get that same connection to the Bronx of the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
Where people are just lunch pail blue collar guys.
Or it's almost as simple as how Times Square is portrayed.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's a lot of the cleanup that New York went through, LA has not gone through.
Right.
And I feel like that LA just feels like a city that's from a different time. So when you see movies like Drive or To Live and Die in LA, I think my natural inclination is to think of it already taking place out of time of the current, or an aesthetic that's out of time. But and I guess even to bring up another Ryan Gosling movie, I kind of felt that way with La La Land. It didn't feel contemporary, but it was. I mean, it and that wasn't even to say that it was a throwback to old musicals. It still didn't feel like it still to me felt like it took place like in the 90s or something, even though it wasn't. I don't know. I don't know. I think it just when LA is used as a character like that, I just kind of feel like it doesn't exist in the present.
Well, it's interesting because there are a few cities I think that lend themselves, American cities I should say, that lend themselves to being a character in your movie, and it is usually New York and it is usually LA, Chicago to some degree. But
sometimes like Philly. I mean, particularly like with the Rocky movies,
sure.
Philly becomes its own.
But I think it almost with Chicago and Philly, the character's typically the same.
Well,
with New York and with LA, the character, it differs based on how it's portrayed.
Yeah, another good bunch of cities that fit that. Texan cities are good at being different based on what you need it to be.
Yeah.
Particularly Houston and Dallas. I think
it just says a lot about the character of the city. I mean, for better or worse, I would never want to live in LA, but LA's got a whole hell of a lot of history in the last 4 or 5 generations, right?
Sure.
And it is the land of opportunity for many and the land of misery for others. And
it's
where hopes and dreams are created and dashed, right? Yeah. Same with New York, right?
Sure.
So that lends itself to interpretation on the story.
Yeah, and I think that it's kind of funny because I think LA is much more, or To Live in LA is much more of a character in To Live and Die in LA than it is in this, but it's much more felt in this.
Yeah,
because it's part of an undertone. It's because you get to a point where they're talking about stealing money from the East Coast families and how it's a completely different story where they are, but they're still treated. They're part of the family, but they're treated like they got to sit at the kids' table because they're out west.
Right. Yeah,
it's the same. You could say that when you talk about like crime and the crime families, because that plays a part in this movie. How it moved east to west, like we settled from east to west as a country. It's kind of funny because we still think of the West as young.
Sure.
We're old. We're the old U.S.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, you're right.
And so it kind of plays its part that way as well, as kind of being, well, we can do whatever we want because fuck those guys out there, or whatever. It's like the crime, the two crime bosses kind of embody the character of LA, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I did not realize this, but Gosling picked the director.
Really?
Yeah. He picked Refn to direct this. He was a fan of his work. This was really the movie that put Refn on the map. And at least in the States, he was probably most well known for Bronson before this, where he kind of sort of discovered Tom Hardy. And then the Pusher trilogy before that, Danish filmmaker, always very stylistic. And I find that interesting that Gosling that's pretty rare.
Yeah. I mean,
and it's not like Gosling had a lot of juice in 2010 or so.
I mean, he had The Notebook. Other than that, I'm not sure what else he had really been doing where he was like the main draw. Yeah.
The mob bosses in this, I think, were inspired casting.
Oh yeah. So on one side, they are two partners who are old friends.
Yeah.
You have on one side you have Albert Brooks, who I said if this movie was made 20 years ago, it would have been Gene Hackman.
Absolutely.
There are ways that he carries himself. It's like, oh my god, it's like watching Gene Hackman work. But Albert Brooks is good. I mean, he is good on his own merits. I just got a very Hackman vibe from him.
Oh, absolutely.
Then the other boss is Ron Perlman.
Yep.
And what's interesting about Ron Perlman is that he's kind of he's kind of the idiot of the two. Like, you can tell, like, Albert Brooks, his character is very wise. He's been part of the LA scene, you know, and it's like he kind of knows how to work people. And then you have Ron Perlman, who is a Jewish guy, which that kind of plays into how he feels he gets treated by the East Coast people.
Right. Well, I think they're both Jewish, actually, but
they make a bigger point to say that.
But Ron Perlman, his character, Dino, is it Dino? Nino. He kind of has a bigger chip on his shoulder.
Right, and he's kind of a loose cannon.
Yeah.
He seems to be maybe a little bit more of the you would expect for him to be the muscle.
Right.
But he's the boss. And that's a problem, as we see in this movie, because he makes a decision that could lead to every single person being killed for a bad move.
Yeah.
Bad move that I don't think he even fully thought out.
No.
But yeah, those two are, and there are a couple of times where Ron Perlman is, he's saying something or he's doing something, and it's like, whoa, tone it down, dude. You know, it's like he is playing kind of an idiot.
Yeah.
You know, like you would expect for somebody to say, "Oh, what's up with this asshole?"
But he's funny too, because he also thinks, obviously, that he's smarter than he is, and also chastises Albert Brooks for perceived frivolity in investing in the stock car. Right.
But what he wants to buy is not something that would make any money for him. It just would be something for him.
For that would be flashy and
Right. He's exactly. He's the Flash.
Yeah.
He's like, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, and anybody's more than welcome to correct me on this. I think this was a lot of the problem that people had with Bugsy Siegel, was that he was kind of an idiot.
Yeah.
He was good and fine if you needed the sledgehammer.
They're coming after you now.
Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm gonna get murdered. But no, like he was good if you needed if there was the nail that needed a hammer.
Yeah.
But he also called a lot of attention. You know, and his involvement with, you know, getting into Hollywood and everything, that's just not gonna work. Yeah, it's like that's not going to work for these guys who want to work a little bit under the radar. I kind of got the same impression from the Ron Perlman Nino character.
Yeah.
So the basic plot of the story is that Ryan Gosling is a stunt driver. Technically, by trade, he's kind of a mechanic and a stunt driver. He moonlights, though, if somebody needs a job run and they need a driver. He sets very clear rules, and he helps basically help get criminals away. And basically his rules are, you got me for 5 minutes, you go in, you do your thing, you come out, and I drive you where you need to go. But if anything deviates from the plan, you're on your own and I'm on my own. Basically, we part ways, you know.
Yep.
We're not going to take each other down. So he works for Bryan Cranston, and Bryan Cranston kind of takes advantage of him a little bit because he knows he's such a good driver, and he kind of wants to start this racing company to kind of actually have like a real steady income. That's when he pulls in Albert Brooks to help fund to buy the stock car, basically.
And while Bryan Cranston, his character takes advantage of drivers, I guess how you refer to him. He doesn't really have a character. Ryan Gosling, Ryan Gosling doesn't do anything he doesn't want to do.
Oh, right.
Right. Like,
Right.
He kind of looks at Bryan Cranston as a guy who gave him a job. He appreciates that.
He's a little bit of a father figure.
Yeah, a little bit of a father figure. He helps him out when he needs help. He also, Ryan Gosling is very aware of this man's limitations.
Right.
But I think that he's got just a little bit of juice. He's got some connections, and they are mutually beneficial to each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he's kind of seen at the beginning to help these guys who robbed the place get away. He then ends up having a relationship with his neighbor, and she has a son. Her husband is in jail, although at first she just says it's the boy's father. And then later it's like, yeah, my husband is getting out of prison. It's like, that's a little bit more than just that kid's father. But he really likes the girl. He really likes her. He really likes the son. But when so Oscar Isaac comes out of jail, and it comes, he gets beat up by some fucking tracksuit guys. You always know when you're getting a mob guy because he's in a tracksuit.
Yes.
I just assumed they were going to be Russian.
Probably of the Eastern European variety when
right.
When they have tracksuits.
But that's not really what was going on here.
Well, kind of, sort of. Yeah, because it turns out that the tracksuit guys work for this guy named Chris, who could very well be of the Eastern European variety of mobster, but he has been hired by Nino to rob
$1 million
from a pawn shop.
Who was holding money for a Philadelphia crime boss.
Yes.
Who Nino says is just kind of some punk asshole, basically.
But in reality,
it may be a bigger deal than that.
Probably connected to the family, as Albert Brooks puts it.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're basically starting a war with the family.
So kind of like the plan, I guess, is to create some layer of deception in this robbery, so that it doesn't look like it's Nino who's the mastermind.
Right. Yeah. And so but these guys are also owed money by Oscar Isaac.
Yes.
Who basically want him to steal the money from the pawn shop because he owes them protection money from when he was in jail.
Right.
So he's like, I don't want to do it, but they said they'll come back for Irene and Benicio, which is the girlfriend or the wife and
son.
And son. And so, Ryan Gosling's like, all right, here's the deal. I'll help you out, basically, because he's that type of dude. It's like, I don't want any harm to come to these people who I really care about, so I'll just I'll help you out. So they go on this heist with Christina Hendricks.
Yeah, she's there for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know if she's got if they've got something on her too.
That's kind of what it feels like.
It's like basically she's
paying
in
off
debt.
his debt too.
Yeah. And Oscar Isaac gets his ass blown away.
Yeah, it doesn't go well.
Right. Basically, it's a setup.
Christina Hendricks gets out with the money. Oscar Isaacs does not. He gets killed by the pawn shop owner. And there's this other car in the parking lot
that was sent by
Nino.
Right. And they basically try to run Ryan Gosling and
they were going to rob the robbers, basically.
Basically. And basically the people who are most directly involved with the theft are now going to be wiped out,
right.
Basically. But Ryan Gosling's a little bit better driver than that, and is able to kind of get away long enough to understand, try to start piecing things together. But things get closer and closer and closer to him, and he kind of gets trapped, really. I mean, it's basically, I've got to kill all these people or they're going to kill me and everybody else I care about.
Right.
And that's the basic
story.
That's
the story.
Now... Baby Driver, let's talk about that now. Here's another character who drives a car who doesn't have a name.
Yeah. Baby.
That's not a name.
Name's Baby.
It's not a name. He falls in love with a waitress. that is kind of humanizes him
Yep.
a little bit.
Yep.
He gets involved with crazy people.
Yep.
Some people who are a little too crazy to really be pulling off crime. This is the same fucking movie, but you know what? Baby Driver is not a very good movie, in my opinion.
I don't think it's a bad movie.
Here's my problem with Baby Driver, and here's how I can compare it to Drive. In Drive, I like the people.
Yeah.
You feel bad for Bryan Cranston. You like robot Ryan Gosling. You kind of want to agree that Oscar Isaac is trying to do the right thing to keep his family safe. You don't get the impression that anybody is truly like of those people that I just mentioned. You don't get the impression that any of those people are truly bad. That they would rather do a bad thing than to try to set things right. I think the exact opposite is true for Baby Driver. Baby himself decides to do bad things instead of just walking away. Or, it's like, why did he have to?
Well, he had a debt he was paying off.
Yeah, but I mean.
He was paying off a debt.
Yeah, but he also, he straight murdered a couple people.
Yeah, so did Ryan Gosling.
But in defense, Baby actually seeks out and sets up the ones that he kills.
I don't remember it well enough, but
he sets up John Hamm and what's her face.
Oh, John Hamm is a psycho.
Right, but he
wasn't safe as long as John Hamm was out there.
Well, and also Jamie Foxx, but he set up he took them out.
That movie
to basically take all of the money and leave with the girl.
That movie, to me, is like the Looney Tunes version of Drive.
Yeah, well, Drive is a better movie. I'm just going to leave it at that. At me, listeners.
Baby Driver, I'm not going to disagree with that because I agree wholeheartedly that the Drive is a better movie. But I find value in Baby Driver. And what I liked about Baby Driver was its musicality. I thought that it was, especially the very first scene, was a better musical than La La Land of the same year.
Sure.
And a better LA musical than La La Land of the same year.
I will agree with you that Edgar Wright used music better.
I don't even think that he necessarily used music better than Drive did.
No, but I mean, like, he used it in a way to where that opening scene or that anytime it was used,
he used it in a more deliberate way.
Yes, in the way that he used it, like when he's delivering the coffee or when he's doing his first drive, that's fine. I agree that
it felt like a more contemporary musical to me than La La Land, and I enjoyed it in that aspect.
And I mean, and that's fine, but you don't like musicals in general.
I usually don't.
Right. So I mean, but you are also a music guy. Man. No, I get what you're saying, and I agree with that.
La La Land, though, did you like La La Land?
I did.
I
thought that it. Here's my biggest issue with La La Land is that I thought it was plenty fine for what it was. I enjoyed it. What I really liked about it was the last 10 minutes.
Yes. The last 10 minutes saved that movie for me.
Because that's reality.
Yep.
The reality of it in this hyper-realistic world, though it's kind of a bummer, is that grounds the movie.
Without that ending, that movie has no value for me.
Yeah, fair enough.
And yes, so in many ways, it actually saved the movie. Yeah. It was really, really, really well done ending.
Let's put it this way. Whereas I had no issue,
other than Ryan Gosling's 80s tribute band, that was hilarious.
Yeah, that was pretty great. No, the whole thing is that movie was. I had zero problem watching the movie. I was perfectly fine with it. It would have never ranked on any of my favorites lists or anything like that. For me, the last 10 minutes elevated the movie. It's not like, say, Chicago that I enjoy from beginning to end.
Oh, like the movie Chicago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's, but again,
Cellophane Man.
That's awesome.
That's a good song.
But
John C. Reilly he's good.
Yeah, but I mean, again, though, that's me being a little bit better off with musicals than you are.
But you're so super right about Baby Driver. I want to know honestly from Edgar Wright.
Was he just planning on remaking Drive?
Right.
I mean, because he kind of did.
He kind of did.
It would be if this was Drive 2 Baby Driver. I'd be like, okay.
Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah. Drive 2 Baby Boogaloo. Yeah. No, I was just so disappointed in Baby. By the time I watched it, the hype had already. Yeah. It's like, oh, this is gonna be out, and then I watched it, and I was like, I don't like any of these people. I wish this kid would just die.
Oh.
I did. I didn't like him. I did not like that character.
Yeah.
Whereas Driver in Drive, Ryan Gosling, I liked him immensely. I thought he was always trying to set right what he could. Now, did things get out of hand? Absolutely. But it wasn't for a lack of trying to do the right thing. And it wasn't because he just decided to murder the crazy guy in the car. I mean, it's like yeah. I mean, you're set up to. This is why I'm okay with the characters in To Live and Die in L.A. and Drive, is because you're not really told to like those characters. You're kind of told to like Baby Driver because everybody picks on him for not talking, or that he's hard of hearing, or whatever.
Yeah.
Or whatever his malady was.
But I mean, I don't know. Baby Driver also. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a whole lot of energy to defend that movie. I thought it was fine. I enjoyed it.
Well,
I never really thought to like pick it apart. But as you pick it apart, I don't know. I just don't really have much to defend it with.
I'm beating you into submission on this.
I really don't.
Doing? I am treating.
I'm just like, you're kind of right.
What I did was I just made out with Drive in an elevator, and then pushed you to the floor and stomped your head in until it caved in, like Ryan Gosling did to some motherfucker in this movie.
I have to say that I'm very happy that you liked this movie.
I like this movie a lot. I think this is one of the best movies we've ever talked about.
I honestly wasn't sure what you were gonna think.
In from the first fucking moment.
Yeah,
man.
Cool.
Now, granted, I might be a little glamored by Ryan Gosling. He is a very good-looking man, and when he stares at the camera, it's unsettling and stirring. But no, I think this is one of the best.
Girl.
I really do think this is one of the best movies we've ever talked about.
Well, good.
Yeah. I like this movie a lot.
I would caution you away from the next two movies that Refn has made because
I don't care.
I don't think you would like those.
No, that's fine. I don't have to watch any of his other. I don't crave different stuff from this guy. I just want to watch this movie again.
Yeah. This movie was kind of a phenomenon when it came out.
I remember it being. I mean, it made it to Bob's Burgers as a joke. One of my favorite jokes.
Yeah. It is spawned cosplay at.
I seen the cosplay myself at Indiana Comic Con, and it cracked me up because the first thing I thought of was Bob's Burgers.
Oh my gosh!
all that guy needed was the bunny ears, and I would have been like, "Oh my god!" I still have that picture. I have that picture someplace of the back of his jacket. It's amazing with the scorpion on it. It's great. I did like also that he tied the scorpion back to because he wears so Ryan Gosling wears a white kind of plushy jacket with
the driving jacket.
It's his driving jacket, and it's got a scorpion on the back.
Which is probably the worst thing that he should wear when he's on a job, because it's so fucking rad. Identifiable.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, there's a dude with a super red jacket.
Oh, I know exactly who that is. He works at the fucking auto mechanic shop down here, and
he's a very good-looking man. But no, no, but like I like that he tied it back. When he called Albert Brooks to finish the deal, it's like, did you ever hear the story of the scorpion and the frog?
Yep.
Nino didn't make it across the river. And that's kind of awesome.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, because again, he's, it's just it's do I have to say it every episode? It's the little things. It is. It's just like he drives an older car, even though it's kind of it's almost a muscle car. I don't think it is a muscle car, but it's an older car from like the 70s.
I think it's a Mustang, isn't it?
No, well, the newer car that he stole was the Mustang. Yeah. The older car, I think, might be a Nova.
Okay.
It's of that kind of style.
I'm not a car guy at all.
I'm not really either, but it looks like what if somebody said that's an Impala or a Nova, I would have been like, yeah, probably, or a Charger or a Challenger. Yeah. But it wasn't really big enough to be a Charger. That's why I didn't think it was a muscle car. But anyway, it's an older car, and the little details that I love in movies is that he drives an older car that's many people would want to drive, and his dashboard is cracked from age. That's fantastic. Those are little things that like Vin Diesel would not ever fucking do in one of his movies, ever. His Charger's got to be fucking pristine,
You know something I love about this movie? So you mentioned it. There's this start of a subplot, or maybe it's a start of a plot. We don't really know when it starts, but a plot. But the whole sort of I guess early drivers, if you will, is that Ryan Gosling is gonna drive the stock car for Bryan Cranston.
Yes.
And Bryan Cranston is going to be the mechanic. He's going to be
the pit guy.
Yeah. They borrow this money from Albert Brooks to fund this $300,000 they get, and Albert Brooks gets 70% of all their winnings, which is like, woof,
that's a lot. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, he's the car owner. That kind of
and Bryan Cranston's whole pitch is like, I have the driver.
Yeah.
This guy is the best driver I've ever seen, and he's probably right. I mean, you see him in the first scene, and it's like, yeah, this guy's probably going to win a shit ton of races.
Yeah,
he's
well, and he's like super cool too. Like when he's driving, he's test driving the car without a helmet, just his fucking jacket and his driving gloves.
Yeah,
and it's like he has no expression. Like he is just dialed in. It's unnerving.
I mean, he's listening. Oh, that first scene is so good because he's listening to the police scanner.
While
he's hearing the alarms go off. He's hearing everything come together, and he's hearing all the sirens converge, and he's cool as a cucumber.
Yeah, because he's listening to the Lakers-Raptors game.
Right. Which with Clippers actually, but yes, he's listening to that game. He's watching it in his apartment. Before that, he's listening to his car. He turns it up, and you think, "Wow, is he just a basketball fan?" But no, he's listening for the end of the game,
so that he
can make the escape. It's so good. Great. He's the crowd to escape.
Yeah.
But where I'm getting at with this diatribe is what I love is that would be a plot of a movie I would watch, right? Of Ryan Gosling as this nobody driver.
It's fucking Days of
hits
Thunder.
The scene, right? Yeah, right. I was like, I'll watch this. And later on, when Albert Brooks and Bryan Cranston have a confrontation, and it's clear that Albert Brooks has to kill Bryan Cranston, and he talks several times throughout the movie about how Bryan Cranston has just been unlucky.
Yeah.
And he says it again to him. It's just bad luck. And then he gets he looks at the stock car. And he says, "I was getting really excited about this.
Yeah.
My name on a car."
Like
he was into it, and it's like we were kind of into that too.
Yeah, it's like I want to watch that movie too.
Right?
Can we make a movie that side plots that?
But this was not that movie, and I kind of like the recognition of that.
Yeah, because he's like, I wanted this. It's like, so did I.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm happy with what I got, but I wanted that too. Man, I would love to see that movie. Like even if it's different characters, get the actors back to make that movie.
Oh, wouldn't it be great if like the sister movie, right?
Yeah. It's like he's going on the NASCAR circuit.
Alternate reality. Yeah.
And he's got a full fire suit with the scorpion on the back.
Yeah. Love it.
So I highly recommend Drive. It's very good. I just talked for 50 minutes about how much I thought this movie was awesome. It's very good.
Well done, film people. You made a darn good movie.
Yeah. I think that this is a movie that, I know that it got pretty heavy recognition when it came out, and people were pretty much all over it. I figured a lot of it was part of Ryan Gosling's stardom rising, his star rising. But I realize now, no, it's a whole thing. Like I didn't even know Bryan Cranston was in this.
Right,
I didn't know Albert Brooks was in it. It's a full ensemble that everybody's bringing something to the table.
I mean, I didn't remember that. I didn't know Oscar Isaacs when this movie came out.
Yeah, this would have been just after.
He has since become a huge star. Yeah.
I mean, this was just after Sucker Punch. So
I mean, I don't even remember him in that.
He was Blue. He was the orderly that was an asshole.
Yeah.
He was the bad guy.
Yeah.
And he was the villain in all of their fantasies. Yeah.
Yeah, I've purged a lot of that movie from my
He
mind.
was the only good part of that movie. But I mean, go check this out at a theater near you.
Yeah.
In fact, let's open a theater and play Drive. This is the Drive theater. The other theater is Gremlins. It's the only two movies I want to watch right now. Oh gosh, you got anything else you'd like to bring up?
No. I'm very pleased that you enjoyed it.
I did.
So
it.
good. It was good. I am. That pleases me as well, sir.
Please, everybody, watch this movie.
Yes, indeed.
It's something good that Sony's done in the last 10 years.
God, yeah, it's almost hard to believe it was Sony.
Right?
Yeah.
Because there was hardly any advertising.
Yeah.
Anywhere.
I don't mean, yeah.
And they had an opportunity to plaster the side of that stock car with advertisements to put their name on it.
Yeah.
They're terrible at that.
They really are. You're right. There's nothing.
There's nothing. It's like, you know what? We're going to let you. Maybe they just distributed it or something.
Maybe. Probably.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's good. I think it's a very good movie.
Cool.
So
next week we have a really good movie.
Yes, we do. So next week is episode number 50.
The Big 5-0. We're over the hill.
Big 5-0. We are over the hill.
We're over the hill.
We are over the hill.
Damn.
We are going to watch a movie
is that a semi-centennial? Is that what they call that?
Sure. It's a golden episode. 50 is golden. Yeah, 50 is golden.
It's golden.
It's the golden episode. So about 20 years ago, we became friends right about the time that that our favorite director died.
Yes.
And that was Stanley Kubrick. And we kind of commiserated one night at work at the
video
store.
We were both working the same shift.
Yep. And we kind of commiserated, and it's like we've been kind of friends ever since. So we thought maybe it would be a good idea to talk about a Stanley Kubrick movie.
Yeah.
But what one is as accessible as they come? Which one did you choose?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
Or are we keeping it a secret?
No, I'm asking you, what did you choose?
I chose The Shining.
Yeah, and I think there's lots to talk about here.
There is a lot to talk about The Shining.
I actually have other nostalgia that I can bring up with that movie that comes from my younger days. We thought you picked that, and I thought, that's perfect. I love it.
Perfect.
Let's do it.
Love it.
Let's do it.
Perfect.
Perfect. That is coming for episode numero 50.
that was a... I like the Spanglish there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
We're multilingual here at Film Seizure.
Well, it's the LA, and the LA has seeped into me.
Seeped in.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So that's going to be next week. We now are. We also have on the website Monster Mondays, which happens every Monday. The first episode was just a couple of days ago. Hope you guys caught that and liked that. That was my love of King Kong 1976. Next episode is the 1932 version of The Mummy. I like to talk about monsters.
The Mummy.
That's Mondays. On Fridays, you can read from me over at bmovieenema.com. Let's see, I don't have my calendar, but I've talked about Zombie so far this year. I think the next one is Dead and Buried.
Oh,
that's a good one. So I got up in the air.
Is that really is that B movie material?
You know what? I choose
what
I talk about.
That's Dan O'Bannon.
Yeah, no, it's I tie it back to some of his other works.
Oh man,
particularly like Return of the Living
Dead.
Dead.
Oh, Return of the Living Dead.
Yeah,
that's so close. It's so close to my heart. It eats it.
Whoa, yum, yum, yum. But it wants your brain.
Brains, yeah.
So that's going on over there. You can always follow us at Facebook and Twitter. You just look for us at Facebook. We're also on the Instagrams. I think Tumblr is now a dumpster fire. I think it's just literally a dumpster fire.
They're just burning porn over there.
Yeah, we got to purge the porn.
It's like somebody died and they were like, get rid of all the porn before my family sees it.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody is, like
they called their buddy was sprung into action to destroy all the porn.
Yeah. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, we'll get rid of all that embarrassing porn before everybody finds it. So until next time, when we talk about the shinning.
The shinning.
Beat you to it.
You did.
I am Geoff Arbuckle.
I'm Jason Oliver, and you have been listening to Film Seizure.
Do you think this feeling can last forever? You mean like forever, ever? Forever, ever? Forever, ever? Forever, ever? Sure. God, I hope so.